Today, the leaders of Turkey and Israel are trading threats of military invasion. President Erdoğan has publicly compared Benjamin Netanyahu to a modern-day Hitler, while Israeli officials now warn that Turkey is a rising strategic threat on par with Iran. This hostility shatters the memory of a very different relationship. In 1996, these two nations were deep military allies. They conducted joint Air Force exercises, shared sensitive defense technology, and operated as the region's most powerful security partners. The 1990s partnership followed a cold geopolitical logic. Israel needed a powerful, non-Arab ally to balance its neighbors, and Turkey was a secular, pro-NATO state positioned perfectly on the Arab world's periphery. Domestic political shifts inside both countries eventually made this marriage of convenience a liability. Both leaderships discovered that fighting each other was far more profitable for their internal power bases than maintaining a friendship. President Erdoğan accelerated this shift by reviving Turkey's Ottoman legacy. He utilized political Islam to move the country away from its secular roots and consolidate a domestic base that saw Turkey as the rightful leader of the Muslim world. The first major public fracture occurred at the 2009 Davos summit. Erdoğan's intense verbal assault on Israeli President Shimon Peres earned him massive popularity across the Middle East, signaling that the old alliance was secondary to Turkey's new ideological brand. Ties reached a point of no return in 2010. During the Mavi Marmara incident, an Israeli military raid on a Turkish-backed flotilla resulted in civilian deaths, causing a formal break in diplomatic relations that lasted for years. These flashpoints proved that anti-Israel and anti-Turkey rhetoric were unparalleled tools for securing domestic control. Over the next decade, this posturing cemented their roles as permanent ideological adversaries. Syria is the primary proxy battleground. In the north, Turkey seeks a friendly post-Assad order while dismantling Kurdish factions. Israel opposes this. While striking southern targets to maintain a security buffer, Tel Aviv cultivates alliances with those same Kurdish groups. Syria has become a zero-sum game for both nations. Turkey's definition of a secure southern border represents a threat to Israel's regional strategy, and Ankara views every Israeli gain in the north as a direct attempt to encircle Turkey. The land war in Syria is now mirrored by a maritime race for dominance in the eastern Mediterranean. Israel's discovery of the massive Leviathan and Tamar offshore gas fields changed the regional economy. Extracting and supplying this energy to Europe is now a cornerstone of Israel's long-term strategy. To protect these interests, Israel formed unprecedented defense and economic partnerships with Greece and Cyprus, creating a new bloc to secure maritime export routes. Ankara interprets this Israeli-Greek-Cypriot alliance as a hostile strategy. To Turkey, these partnerships are a deliberate attempt to box them out of their own maritime rights and cripple their energy reach. By weaponizing energy routes and naval alliances, the two nations have moved into a physical contest for long-term economic survival. Both nations are now looking toward a future where Iran's regional axis of resistance is severely degraded, leaving a massive opening for a new dominant power. As Iran's influence recedes, the Middle East is shifting toward a bipolar power structure. With the old buffers gone, only Israel and Turkey remain as the final contenders for regional hegemony. Former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett officially highlighted this shift, warning that Turkey is emerging as a sophisticated and dangerous adversary that Israel can no longer afford to ignore. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan has made a reciprocal claim, stating that Israel is pivoting its state strategy to declare Turkey its next primary enemy after Iran. Both establishments have formally recognized that their ultimate goal of regional influence now requires checking the power of the other. The preparations for this confrontation are already codified. In May 2024, President Erdoğan issued the Mobilization and State of War Regulation, a sweeping update to Turkey's national defense framework. This regulation grants the executive the power to commandeer the civilian economy and shift the entire nation onto a war footing during periods of tension, even without a formal declaration of war. By integrating this legal framework with its expanding military posture in Syria, Turkey is building the logistical backbone required for a sustained regional conflict. The 1990s alliance is gone. As local conflicts settle, the regional power structure is moving toward a direct struggle between Turkey and Israel, a collision that is now the primary focus of both states.